Hi guys, welcome back. This video will cover the second part of derivatives and hedging transactions. Much of the concepts and procedures were already discussed in the first part of this lesson. Therefore, this video will cover the remaining topic, which is your cash flow hedge. Okay, let's refresh what is a cash flow hedge. Cash flow hedge is the hedge of exposure to variability in future cash flows. So dito naman, mas nakafocus tayo sa risk na pabago-bagong paglalabas ng pera or pagpasok ng pera sa atin. Okay? Anong kinaiba ng cash flow hedge kay fair value hedge? Si fair value hedge, mas nakatuon naman siya sa risk ng pagpapalit-palit ng fair value ng isang item dito. Okay? Now, how do we account for the hedge item under cash flow hedge? By applying normal accounting procedures. When we say normal accounting procedures, we will just apply the accounting standard that deals specifically to the hedge item. For example, if the hedge item is an inventory, you will apply IS2. If the hedge item is an item of property, plant, and equipment, then you will apply IS16. So on and so forth. Next, how do we account for the hedging instrument? As to hedging instrument, similar concept as to your fair value hedge. Mga derivative contracts pa rin itong mga to. Okay? So, i-refresh natin, how do we measure derivatives? At fair value. Fair value of a derivative is equal to the change in underlying. Okay. So, dito sa cash flow hedge, i-recognize pa din natin talaga yung change in underlying. Except that, saan natin i-report? Under cash flow hedge, we will report the change in the underlying through other comprehensive income. Unlike in fair value hedge, ang change in underlying, nire-report natin sa profit or loss. Okay? Yan ang main difference between accounting for cash flow hedge and fair value hedge. Now, what are the hedge items qualified for cash flow hedge? Refresh lang ulit natin. Recognized asset or liability, firm commitment, highly probable forecasted transaction, and net investment in foreign operation. Si recognized asset and liability and firm commitment, na-discuss na yan sa first part ng lesson natin. Okay? So, dito, ang ifo-focus natin ay si forecasted transaction. Hindi natin i-cover ang net investment dito sa video na ito. Now, what is a forecasted transaction? Anticipated transaction lang yan. Iniisip lang ng company na magkakaroon ng transaction in the future. Now, anong pinagkaiba ng forecasted transaction kay firm commitment? Si firm commitment, alam agad ng kabilang party na magkakaroon ng transaction in the future. Unlike sa forecasted transaction, si company lang nakakaalam na magkakaroon ng future transaction. Hindi pa alam ng kabilang party na magkakaroon pala ng future transaction. Malinaw? Okay. Now, let's focus on the output of forecasted transaction. Okay. Forecasted transaction can result in either financial asset or liability or non-financial asset or liability. Now, if the forecasted transaction results into financial asset or liability, how do you account for the gains and losses that was reported in other comprehensive income? That will be reclassified to profit or loss in the same period which the hedge item affects your profit or loss. Pag non-financial asset or liability naman ang mag-a-arise from your forecasted transaction, may dalawang treatment yung OCI gains and losses natin. First treatment, it will be reclassified to P&L in the same period which the hedge item affects the P&L, which is similar kay financial asset or liability. Second alternative treatment, the OCI gains and losses will be close to the initial carrying amount of the hedge item. Yan, tandaan niyo yung rule na yan ha. I-apply natin yan sa problem na ito. Okay, so, hedging a forecasted purchase transaction. On December 1, Brixman Company estimates that 5,000 units of inventory will be purchased from a U.S. supplier on March 1 for $2,000. Transaction is probable and it is to be denominated in US dollars. On the same date, company entered into a 90-day forward contract to purchase the $2,000 on March 1. Exchange rates are as follows. So, ganun ulit, given yung spot rate at yung forward rate. Yung mga concepts na diniscuss natin sa first part, mag-a-apply ulit yan kay cash flow hedge. Malinaw. Okay? Sige. Then, on the last paragraph, on March 1, that purchase transaction materialized. 60% were sold on June 30, while the remaining 40% were sold on September 30 of the next year. Okay. How do we account for the hedging transactions? You will account for the hedge item and at the same time, hedging instrument. Okay. Now, what will be your journal entry on December 1 as to the hedge item? Answer, wala pa munang entry. Kasi wala pang transaction na gaganap. Finorcast mo lang yung transaction dyan. But it doesn't mean walang entry as to hedging instrument. Separate transaction yung hedging instrument. Okay. Now, since the company is forecasting a future purchase transaction at babayaran mo siya in foreign currency, anong klaseng currency ang kakailanganin mo on March 1? Is it peso or foreign currency? Answer, foreign currency. That's why, debit, foreign currency receivable, credit, peso payable. Ang problema natin, magkano? How do we value hedging instrument? Spot or forward rate? Answer, forward rate tayo. Okay? So, kindly determine the foreign currency units, $2,000 times forward rate as of December 1. Sir, may tatlong forward rate. Sino gagamitin namin forward rate? Okay. From December 1, ilang days pa until March 1? Correct, 90 days. Kaya, 90-day forward rate ang gagamitin natin. Malinaw? Okay. So, multiply it by 52.30. May makukuha tayong 104,600. Anong tawag natin dyan? That's already your lock-in price. Nakalock na yung peso na ibabayad mo on March 1. Okay? Kaya yan yung amount na ipapasok nyo sa first journal entry natin. Okay? Sige, let's move on to December 31. Now, as of December 31, ilang days na lang until March 1? Answer, 60 days. That's why, 60-day forward rate naman ang gagamitin natin on December 31. You will compare that to your forward rate as of December 1. Okay? So, ano nangyari sa forward rate natin? Nag-increase ba yan o nag-decrease? Nag-increase. By how much? 30 cents. Kindly multiply that to your foreign currency units and you will get a gain. Bakit nga ulit gain yan? Kasi naiwasan mo yung pagtaas ng exchange rate. So that is favorable on your part, kaya siya naka-gain. Malinaw. Okay? Na-discuss na natin yung concept niyan nung part 1 pa lang. Okay? So ano journal entry ng December 31? Debit, foreign currency receivable, credit, gain. Pero ire-report mo siya sa other comprehensive income. Malinaw. Okay. As to hedge item, may entry? Answer, wala pa ring entry. Kasi forecasted transaction yan. Pwedeng makancel pa yan in the future. Kaya walang entry. Alright? Let's move on to March 1. Now, pagdating ng March 1, meron pa ba tayong ipo-forward? Wala na. That's why, gagamitin na natin yung spot rate to value your hedging instrument. Okay. Compare that to the forward rate that was used last December 31 and analyze that change. Ano nangyari sa sa exchange rate natin? Nag-decrease. By how much? 40 cents. Multiply by your foreign currency units and you will get a loss. Bakit nga ulit siya loss? Kasi unfavorable sa part natin, bumaba yung value ng foreign currency. Naiwasan natin yung pagbaba ng value ng foreign currency, kaya naging loss. Alright? Ano entry niyan on March 1? Debit, loss on forward contract, pero sa OCI pa din, credit your foreign currency receivable. As to the hedge item, may entry na ba tayo as to the change in exchange rate? Answer, wala pa rin. Hindi natin ina-account yung changes in exchange rate pag forecasted lang ang transaction kasi pwede pang i-cancel yan. Malinaw. Okay. Now, let's settle the hedging instrument with the bank. So dahil ito na ang ating settlement date, kailangan na natin i-acquire yung US dollars natin. Debit cash, foreign currency valued at March 1 spot rate, credit, foreign currency receivable. And magbabayad ka in peso. Now, tanungin ko kayo, panalo o talo itong company nung pumasok siya sa forward contract? Answer, talo. Bakit talo? Mas malaking peso amount ang binayad niya kesa sa value ng foreign currency na natanggap niya. Kung papansinin nyo, yung value ng foreign currency as of March 1, 104,400. Magkano yung nilabas niyang peso? 104,600. Mas malaki yung nilabas. Nalugi tayo ng magkano? 200 pesos. Okay. Now, since nag-materialize naman pala yung transaction ng March 1, may entry ba tayo sa hedge item as to the transaction? Of course, nag-materialize eh. So, debit, inventory, valued at spot rate as of March 1, credit, cash foreign currency. So, as at this point, sarado na ang hedging instrument, sarado na ang hedge item kasi settled naman yung US supplier natin. But, hindi pa tapos ang kwento. Subsequent accounting procedures tayo. Okay. Now, tanungin ko ulit kayo, anong klaseng asset ito si inventory? Financial asset or non-financial asset? Answer, non-financial asset. Therefore, you will apply either of the two alternative treatments as to your OCI gains and loss. Okay? Tandaan nyo, meron pa tayong gain or loss na nasa OCI. Hindi pa talaga siya nako-close. I-account natin yan. Okay. Now, ibibigay ko dito ang journal entries under alternative treatment 1 and alternative treatment number 2. Para mas makita nyo at makumpara nyo kung ano ang pinagkaiba ng dalawang treatments na to. Okay? Sige. Unahin natin si alternative treatment number 1. So, simula tayo ng March 1. Di ba yan yung entry natin kanina? Kinopya ko lang. Yan ang entry natin kanina. Now, under alternative number 1, ano nga ulit ang treatment natin sa OCI gain and loss? Saan natin siya i-report or i-reclassify? You will reclassify that to profit or loss in the same period kung kailan makaka-apekto ng profit or loss ang hedge item. So, since this is an inventory account, kailan lang makaka-apekto sa P&L ang inventory account? Kapag nabenta. Okay? Sige. First date of sale, June 30, 2021. Ilang porsyento pa lang ang nabebenta sa inventory? 60%. Therefore, debit cash, credit, sales for the selling price. Now, assume the use of the perpetual inventory system, debit, CGS, credit, inventory. Kung mapapansin nyo, ginagamit natin yung value ng inventory using the spot rate nung March 1. Okay? Naka-apekto na ba siya sa P&L? Yes, naka-apekto. Therefore, may i-reclassify na tayo from OCI. Sir, lahat ba nung nandun sa OCI i-reclassify agad? Hindi. Dapat proportionate sa na-recognize lang sa P&L. So, dahil 60% pa lang naman ang inventory na benta, 60% pa lang from OCI ang i-reclassify. Diba? Therefore, dahil may loss tayo sa OCI, i-close natin yung 60% ng loss na yan to P&L. Gagalawin ko si CGS. So, debit, cost of goods sold, credit, loss on forward contract. Sir, bakit nga ba ulit siya naka-credit dyan? Di ba ang resulting amount ng OCI gains and losses natin kanina ay naka-loss na? Kasi mas malaki yung loss kesa sa gain. Malinaw. Okay? Kaya, naka-credit yung gain or loss on forward contract. Okay. 60% pa lang ang na-reclassify. Second date of sale, September 30. So, another set of entries, debit cash, credit, sales. Then, recognition of inventory, recognition of CGS and inventory sold. Now, naka-apekto ba ulit ng P&L yung hedge item? Yes. By how much? 40%. Therefore, may i-reclassify ulit kayo from OCI to profit or loss. 40% only. Debit cost of goods sold, credit, gain or loss on forward contract. At this point, zero out na yung OCI natin dahil na-dispose na siya sa profit or loss in full. Na-appreciate nyo ba si alternative treatment number 1? Okay. Let's move on to alternative number 2. Let's see kung ano ang pinagkaiba ng journal entries naman under alternative number 2. Pagdating sa alternative number 2, ulitin lang natin ano yung alternative treatment number 2. Yung OCI gain or loss, i-close mo na kaagad sa initial carrying amount ng hedge item. So, on the same date, i-close mo kaagad yung 200 OCI loss kay inventory. Since inventory is the hedge item, siya yung gagalawin natin. Okay? Diyan pa lang makikita nyo na agad yung difference ng journal entries. First date of sale, the same set of entries. Pero kung mapapansin nyo, nandun sa CGS yan magkakaiba. Kasi, sa alternative treatment number 1, 104,400 yung ginamit ko. Pagdating dito, 104,600 na yung ginamit ko. Dumiretso siya kaagad. Diba? At papansinin nyo, pareho lang talaga yung amount ng CGS na i-report under alternative 1 and 2. It is just a matter of timing difference kung kailan mo daw i-close yung OCI. Timing difference lang ang pinagkaiba ng dalawang treatments na ito. Malinaw. Then, second date of sale, September 30, the same set of entries. Timing difference. Okay? Then, we are done with the subsequent accounting for cash flow hedge. Buhay pa? Okay. Sige. Now, what are the possible questions na pwedeng tanungin under cash flow hedge? Okay, number 1. How much is the gain or loss to be recognized in the income statement with respect to the hedge item December 31? Our answer should be 0. Wala naman kasi tayong ni-recognize na gain or loss as to the hedge item. Next, gain or loss to be recognized in OCI with respect to hedging instrument December 31, meron ba? Yes. Magkano yon? 600? Gain. O next, gain or loss to be recognized in the income statement with respect to hedge item March 1? Answer is still 0. Last one. How much is the gain or loss to be recognized in OCI with respect to the hedging instrument March 1? 800 loss. Malinaw ba guys? Okay, so summarize lang natin. Ano ang tanging pinagkaiba ng cash flow hedge kay fair value hedge when it comes to accounting? That is, the reporting of the changes in the fair value of the hedging instrument. Pag cash flow hedge, saan siya nire-report? OCI. Paano kapag fair value hedge? Saan siya nire-report? Profit or loss. Very good. Okay? Much of the concepts of cash flow hedge na-discuss na sa first part ng lesson natin. Okay? Pinasok ko lang dito yung unique concept niya. Then, tapos na tayo. Then, charan! Tapos na ang lecture natin kay part 2. Up next, derivatives and speculation. Short topic lang siya. Okay? Thank you for watching and listening.